Good afternoon. We had a few rain showers today, and now the sun is out and it is very lovely, and I'm on my way to check on a few things and also install a few more soil humidity sensors. So the first thing that I want to do is to check on the new pipe that Angel placed there. The idea is to now fill the pond with the water from the outflow of the water reservoir. So we finally got around to do this, and as you can see where I am walking here, this is where the horses also go for a drink. So this is the very same path, and in a moment we shall see that there is water being moved. Yeah, I can already see it and hear it from where I am standing, and that should improve rapidly the water level of this pond. So here we are, and you can see there on the other side that there is a pipe that puts in the water. So now this should come up, because every time the sun is out and the pump has some water that can be moved, it will move. So this is a constant thing. There is nothing to do, it just runs all by itself. So this is the first sensor that I just placed here. So this is the transmitter, and there you can see where I buried it. So it is measuring the surface slightly below, and what I can also show you here is the ants are doing something. They are carrying the seed away, and you might remember that I talked about the ants doing that quite a few times, and I declared them public enemy number one. So we will see what is going to happen here. This is not a cash crop, the sun hemp and friends, but of course it is not supposed to be like that. And this is not sun hemp seed, this is sunflower seed. So it's quite interesting. I'm not sure if placing the sensor there is a good idea. We will see. It's going to be one of two, and actually I can't place the other just yet because we are still missing a place to attach it to, and I don't want to put it under one of the oak trees. I want to have it in the open. So this, or maybe I can put it there. That would be also enough, and I can relocate it later, but I think that's something I can do. And what you see here is clearly sun hemp that has germinated, and there is more of it. So we should have this green in a couple of days. Well, you can see there's more. It is in the vicinity of an oak tree which is on top of me, and therefore there is some drip irrigation. So whenever there is some condensation happening, it drips. And if I bend this up, you can see. So therefore this comes up here a little bit earlier. So I placed the second sensor here, and I'm now going to step back a little bit so that you can see where that sensor is placed. So this is basically the second line or the second row for the irrigation. And Angel told me that when they tried this, they were able to irrigate both lines at the same time. And that is apparently because we are much closer to the pump, which is right there, and therefore the pressure seems to be enough for that many wobblers. Of course, pressure gets lost over distance. That's totally normal. And if this holds up, then of course this is a very positive thing. And there are a few other things that also happened while building this. So you can see here another piece of plywood that is from the yurt that was part of the floor, and this is now being used as a distribution panel, so to say. So there to the left you can see the feeder pipe come in, and it goes up and then has all the shut-off valves there. And those shut-off valves are responsible for each sector, each line, each group of wobblers. And eventually there will be a PVC installation here. And instead of the shut-off valves, we will have solenoid valves here. So that this can be automated with a Rainbird controller. So right now we are going to learn how many lines we are going to have. Of course, this is both sides. So that is the side over there, and then this one. And then this whole system can be controlled from a central point without coming here. So all by sensors and automation. But this is the half manual version of it until we have a Wi-Fi signal here. And the Wi-Fi signal needs to come from over there. Right now it does not reach. We do have Wi-Fi there by the other oak tree in that vicinity, and a box has arrived, and we can now install another access point there at the gate. And this is also to have some cameras there to avoid this problem with the Ethernet cable that I mentioned. And then we should, by line of sight, have also Wi-Fi here. And once we have that, then we build a system here that has two 12-volt batteries from the solar system once we replace those batteries with better ones. So there's dependencies, but it's all earmarked. And then we will have a solar panel here, and that battery box, it's going to be mounted on a pallet and sits then right next to this. You will see how we build this, but this is something for later. And it might be a couple of months until we come to that. So therefore, we are going this route, and this allows us to come here and switch the sectors as we like at ease. So it's a nice walk from over there, and there's absolutely no issue in doing this in a manual way. But of course, automation would mean, depending on the soil moisture measurement, the irrigation turns on and off all by itself. But we're building this step by step, and as it gets built, we learn, and we can also gather some data. And of course, it's also a financial thing, and we have to resolve the dependencies that I mentioned. But eventually this will be fully automated, and I'm very excited about this, because things should be automated and monitored, and the human will do something when something breaks. I don't like this idea that the human has to be there doing things all the time. That was in the past. We are in the 21st century. We can delegate things to devices, and they can be smart. So why not do it? And of course, it's part of my job. It's basically my profession, so to say. I'm an IT guy, and that means I know how to build these things, and here I can apply that. I have to admit, I have not done IoT professionally so far, but there might be an opportunity coming up, and now I basically get proof of my knowledge by doing it. And I don't need a customer or client for doing it because I have a farm, and therefore I can use these things and learn and brag about it. So here where I'm standing, I do have some Wi-Fi signal. It is faint, but it does exist. And of course it disappears again because it is faint. The one at the bottom that you saw, SMA something, that was the inverter, which is also beaming up to here. See, there it is again. And now the inverter is even a bit stronger. The last entry there, SMA something. And the other is from the access point on the top of the Cortijo. But it will not connect. So it is too weak for that. But the closer I get, and the less interference by those branches there will be. So now, see, now you can see one of the Granja Gramito nets has now a good signal, so it might actually connect. Well, a few meters more. So that means if we get the access point a little bit closer, then this should be possible. So let's give this a tap. And I continue walking. Okay, it's not happy. That always happens when the signal is too weak. So now we are closer and we have line of sight, and see, now it has connected. And that's also an important thing, because you see the solar panel there. This is for the pump. One thought is to have another access point right there, and then we can also move the relays that control the two pumps into that box, or replace it with a slightly bigger one. And therefore we have the controls on the edge of the network instead of in the center where it is right now. It makes things easier, and it only requires one power cable. And right now there are two power cables for each pump one. And I would like to remove one, so that there is less issues. And the green one is the one that will then also be buried along with the water line along that path here. So that makes things then a lot easier. But burying that will be something for autumn and not right now. And you hear that bird? That is actually a magpie. So they are all around. And suddenly in the farmyard we do have a lot more birds than we used to. But they are in the farmyard. You don't see them here out in the open, because in a farmyard apparently there are more insects now. Because of the plants growing and soil is moister there, we water, and therefore all this seems to attract the birds. It will be a little bit a challenge to actually show you all these birds, because it's hard to capture on camera. I would have to do some effort to let the camera roll, and hopefully then you can see it. Maybe I get around to doing that. I would think that this is Bermuda grass going to seed. So this is an interesting thing to note. This is in our future garden area. Of course, once we actually want to use a garden here, or use it for a garden, we will have to fight this Bermuda grass. But for the moment, all pieces of biomass are welcome. And of course, we want to have this all over the place. And it should be easy to manage with some deep mulch. But this is apparently how Bermuda grass going to seed looks like. So I'm very happy to see this happening. We also started to add some irrigation in the wannabe food forest, which had been without irrigation, I think 1 year or 2 years. But in order to establish more things, it is better to have this in place. As you can see, the pressure is not right at the moment. We need to change a few details to make this work. But we will have lines running along the bottom of the swales and irrigate both sides of it so that we can establish new plants there, like the vetiver, for example.